Hey guys, Brian for here from Better Chess Trading, and in today's video, I'm going to be going over my book recommendations for intermediate players. Check it out. Okay, guys, the other day I got a question on the channel about books for intermediate players, and for the sake of this conversation, I'm going to be looking around 1200 to 1600 USCF, so you can make the approximation to what you think an intermediate player is. But basically, it's a player who has learned some of the basic tactics, basic opening principles, and are actually want to move forward with their play and with their knowledge. And so that's who we are talking about in this video. So, what are the needs of players in this category? Well, every player is unique, but just reflecting on my own experience as well as students I work with, as well as other players I've talked to, a lot of here are some general needs they have. First off, is planning and strategy, what to do with the pieces based on the structure. The second one is tactics and calculation. A lot of intermediate players know the basic tactical motifs, but you need to practice it and make it automatic, as well as improving your ability to. Next one is the general exploration of openings, and here it is where you want to get an overview of how openings work, so that eventually you can work towards building an opening repertoire. The end game is an area that all players of all levels would benefit from improving. And finally, category I call chess feel, getting a feeling for how position should go or where pieces should be. And that's where we're going to be focusing our book recommendations. So let's get started. First off, real quick, the criteria for these books are the writing has to be accessible to intermediate players, so not too complicated and not too elementary. Second is the selection of games and material. Basically, how instructive are the game fragments or the total games that are presented. And finally, they have to be these books have to be fun and enjoyable. I have a lot of chess books. I've read a lot of chess books, and some of them are very informative, but not necessarily enjoyable. And while you're developing, you want to have fun while you're studying. Added that maybe it's not totally necessary, but I think it's okay. Let's talk about strategy. A couple books here. One is Winning Chess Strategies by Yasser Sirawan, and How to Reassess Your Chess by Jeremy Silman. Both of these books are very good in terms of their readability, in terms of their writing style, and I really enjoyed these as I was developing as a player. I would say that Winning Chess Strategies is the simpler of the two, so if I was going to do both, I would start with this one. And How to Reassess Your Chess is a little more comprehensive, a little more epic in nature, meaning that it covers a lot and has some. And both books have awesome examples. I have read both, enjoyed both, and I recommend. When it comes to tactics, so here I'm not recommending a book that teaches you the tactical motifs, because I think by the time you're reaching 1300, 1400, you've already seen those in maybe a book or maybe online. So instead, these two books are meant to be exercise books. You're going to go through these maybe more than once, and you're going to drill them so that you can repeat the various tactical patterns over and over. And so I would start with the 1001 Chess Exercises for Beginning Players by Massetti and Mesa. And don't let the title fool you. This is a very good book. It's very comprehensive, and some of the later problems are fairly difficult. From there, you can build upon that with the successor to this, which is 1001 Chess Exercises for Club Players by Frank Erwich. And what's nice is these books kind of they do build on top of each other. So the combinations and tactics you're going to learn in the beginner book will be built upon thematically in the 1001 Chess Exercises for Frank Erwich. I would combine this with using the tactics servers on, say, chess.com or Chess, kind of have a total tactics and calculation program. Okay, general openings. And the reason I put it this way is that I think it's important. Uh, let's put it this: when I was rated around 1200, I wanted to learn all these different openings, but I didn't have a feel for what the purpose of the opening were, and each individual openings, but just the opening in general. And this book, Winning Chess Openings by Yasser Seirawan, I felt kind of captured the feeling of that. It started with basic principles, and it went through, it kind of showed an evolution of how players conducted the opening battle. It also showed his insights. What I liked about it was Yasser Seirawan. Of course, Yasser Seirawan was one of the strongest players ever to that the United States has ever produced, and many of you may know him from his commentary now, St. Louis Chess Club. Just an excellent player as well as an excellent writer and commentator. So I would recommend you go through this book and kind of see the breadth of what openings can bring to you. And then I would experiment in your games, but then you can from there look for specific opening books based on your interest. Of course, there's full repertoires out there. There's tools like Chessable that you can use, but then there's also individual books. If you want to learn, for example, the Scotch opening, about the Scotch, or want to learn about the Sicilian, or the various variations of the Sicilian, you could pick one and choose a book or, say, a course on Chessable to do that. Okay, from here. And then when it comes to the Endgame, there's actually two books that I recommend. The first one, Silman's Complete Endgame Course, is just like it sounds. It starts off with mates that Class D players should know, and then Class C players, and then Class B players. And in our discussion, this would include um, the Class D players, which would be 1200 to 1400, Class C players, which would be 1400 to 1600. And then you could just study those end games in that category and then work on other parts of your game. And then as you get better, once you reach the B class B, would be 1600 to 1800, then you can study those end games. So that's what he does. Is he kind of breaks it down from what you need to know at each level, and I kind of like that. The other one, Endgame Strategy by Mikhail Shereshevsky, covers more of the strategy behind the end game or the mindset. Like, how should you look at the end game, and what principles should you use when you're not entering, say, a theoretical end game, Xena position or the Philidor position, where you just need to know what the method. This is more of you see an end game maybe where you have a majority on one side, a majority on the other side, and how do you conduct that? And this book kind of covers a lot of examples. Very good. Okay, finally, when I talk about getting a feeling for chess or how chess is played and conducted, I mainly the best way to do that, in my opinion, of course, one is to play a lot and study your games, but the other way is to study great players and their games, especially if they're strategic games. That a great way to do that is through chess game collections, and I'm going to recommend three to you here. And the first one is The Most Instructive Games of Chess Ever Played by Chernev. Now, this is not a logical chess move by move, which is also by Chernev, which is also a good book, but maybe a little too elementary if you're rated 1200, 1300. Okay. The second one is Chess Brilliancies by Yasser Seirawan. And this covers uh, games by, I think, Bobby Fischer and Korchnoi would be like the earliest games. And then it has some games with Kasparov in it as well. So it kind of has a little later games than the Chernev book, but it has a move by move explanation, which I thought was excellent, especially when I was rated around 1600 or so. And then the final book is sort of like a lesson built into the book. You have Best Lessons of a Chess Coach by Sunil Weeramantry. There's actually a newer expanded edition that's come out, but I have the older edition that had 10 games. And every game, he gives you exercises. He'll ask you questions, or he'll ask questions in the book, and then you should try to answer them along the way. And it'll really start to help you understand why you put your pawns in certain places and why you put your pieces in certain places and how to coordinate attacks. I just thought it was a great book. There's other good game collections, but if I had to pick my top three, these would be it. And just to close out here, I created a list of all of these books on Amazon. Link is in the description down below. You can click on it and go to the book. If you don't have, if you have some of the books but you don't have all of them, maybe you might want to purchase them. Of course, these are affiliate links, so if you do purchase them from this link, it helps the channel out. So just want to disclose that. But there's a lot of great books out there, and choosing the best ones can be difficult sometimes. So I hope that this list that I'm sharing with you will give you a head start. And let me know in the comments if there are any books that you think I left off of this list. Discuss that as well. Anyways, have a great day and talk to you soon.